We're joined today by Andrew Penkethman, Managing Director of Ardea Resources. Andrew, thanks for your time.
Hi David, always good to catch up.
Recently announced a significant transaction with two Japanese conglomerates over the nickel project you're operating here in Western Australia. What was the agreement and why is it so important?
We've just signed a cooperation agreement with Sumitomo Metal Mining and Mitsubishi Corporation, and it's a huge milestone for the company because they are at the top of the list in terms of quality partners. In the case of Sumitomo Metal Mining, they are the world's most successful project developer and operator of nickel laterite projects, and Mitsubishi Corporation also have decades of experience and have been enabling the Australian resources sector through investments in the iron ore and natural gas and coal sectors.
The consortium does have the right to earn up to a 50% interest in the project. How do they earn that interest progressively over time?
Initially, they will fully fund the definitive feasibility study on a pre-agreed budget of $98.5 million, and that will get them a 35% interest in Kalgoorlie Nickel Proprietary Limited, currently a wholly owned subsidiary of Ardea that holds our Goongarrie Hub tenements. But then the final 15% interest to take them from 35 to 50% is the most important, and that's awarded upon a final investment decision being made.
And what offtake rights do the joint venture partners have?
So all of our discussions with potential project funders, a lot of large export credit agencies right around the world, indicate that to be able to secure the best possible project development debt terms, at least 70% of the offtake needs to be provided to highly regarded quality partners, and of course the consortium reached that milestone. So we've agreed to the consortium being allocated 75% of the offtake from the Goongarrie Hub.
And has the DFS commenced and how will it progress?
The DFS is underway, so we're busy recruiting key personnel for Kalgoorlie Nickel Proprietary Limited and in the process of awarding the bids to the key supporting service providers, and that's been funding by a interim interest-free loan from Sumitomo Metal Mining of $12 million.
And importantly for your shareholders, who manages that joint venture?
It will be managed by Kalgoorlie Nickel Proprietary Limited, and currently Ardea is 100% shareholder, and the consortium through various milestones progressively earning a 50% interest. And KMPL, as we call it, will be operated by a steering committee with Ardea having 2 representatives and the consortium having 2 representatives.
And you did put out a PFS in July 2023, which for the first time wrapped some real numbers around the project. Moving into the DFS phase, what enhancements or potential enhancements are you looking to achieve?
Yeah, we identified a number of enhancements to the project, and we'll be able to improve upon those by integrating the considerable nickel laterite experience from Sumitomo Metal Mining and also the general resources sector experience of Mitsubishi Corporation. So firstly, we're looking to increase the project scale from 3.5 million tonnes per annum to 4 million tonnes per annum, and that's by reducing the autoclave residence time from 70 minutes to 60 minutes. We've got test work results supporting a residence time as low as 40 minutes. So that'll be a key focus of the early stage of the DFS, and we're also looking at refining the end product specifications, and we'll be able to say more about that after about 6 months' time.
When stacking this project up against peers locally and globally, how does it compare to other projects? So we are seeing projects falling by the wayside in the nickel market at the moment. How does the KNP Goongarrie Hub look and compare to some of those projects?
We've got very cost competitive operating costs that will enable Kalgoorlie Nickel Proprietary Limited to operate throughout the commodity price cycle. So based on our 5 July 2023 PFS, we defined operating costs on a C1 basis, allowing for the cobalt byproduct credit of less than $6,000 a tonne. And if we look at a range of nickel producers out of Indonesia, independent research by Benchmark Mineral Intelligence suggests that their operating costs for a range of nickel products are between $5,000 and $15,000 a tonne. So you can see Ardea with OPEX of less than $6,000 a tonne, very competitive, and that will position us in the bottom cost quartile, which is exactly where you want to be. So we all know the nickel commodity price cycle can move around, large points of difference between every mineral deposit, but it's the unique features at Goongarrie that enable us to have that very low OPEX.
We've seen recent announcements by the federal government here in Australia of a production tax credit. What implication could that have on this project and its economics?
So already, as we've recently discussed, we have very cost competitive low operating costs, but the production tax credit would result in a 10% tax rebate on our process operating costs, so that would even further enhance our OPEX.
We are seeing the introduction of green pricing coming in, where end users are looking at the sources of their product and how green they are when they're being produced. How does this project stack up in that aspect, and why do you think this will be so important going forward?
Yeah, we demonstrated in our 5 July 2023 PFS some of the high ESG standards being incorporated in the development of Goongarrie, and we'll continue to build upon those. So that includes things like in-pit tailings disposal that reduces the area that needs to be cleared. We won't need a dedicated tailings storage facility. We will progressively rehabilitate those open pit voids as mining commences over this plus 40-year mine operation. We have very low CO2 emissions per kilogram of nickel produced, which again, all the lithium-ion battery manufacturers, OEMs, all the offtake partners, they all put a higher preference on the environmental credentials of the development. So our product, once in production, will be very highly sought after, and there's been a lot of talk in the market about a green premium coming on market, and again, we don't need it to be able to operate profitably. However, if this premium does come into play, it will even further enhance the project financial metrics.
This agreement covers one aspect of the Kalgoorlie Nickel Project, the Goongarrie Hub. What's the plan for the other elements within the project area?
So we've got a large tenement holding comprising the Kalgoorlie Nickel Project and the Goongarrie Hub, which is the most advanced project where we're entering into this collaboration with Sumitomo Metal Mining, and Mitsubishi Corporation hosts about 4 million tonnes of contained nickel. But then the other Kalgoorlie Nickel Project tenements host approximately 2 million tonnes of contained nickel. So we'll be looking at realising the value and the opportunity on the other Kalgoorlie Nickel Project tenements that both host that 2 million tonnes of contained nickel, but also have very high exploration prospectivity for a range of critical minerals, including nickel laterite, nickel sulphide and rare earths.
With the agreement itself, some shareholders seem to think there are still significant hurdles to see it completed. Are there any hurdles, or is this deal done?
Look, there's standard conditions precedent which are commonplace for a deal of this type, and they're all expected to be completed in the September quarter, so not long to go, and they include things like Foreign Investment Review Board. We're all well aware of the great relationship between Australia and Japan, so we imagine that will be a formality. So the deal is, we're undertaking the DFS already, and as a sign of the strength of the relationship and belief in the project, we're already able to advance the DFS through the interim funding provided by Sumitomo Metal Mining.
Maybe early, you're not at final investment decision. Do you have a feeling of what a debt equity mix could look like?
Look, indications of discussions we've had with a range of export credit agencies and other financial institutions sort of indicating that we should be able to achieve at least 70% debt, and then there would be the 30% equity consideration. Now, we've got a range of options. Obviously, we'll continue discussions with the large export credit agencies, but we can also realise value from, for example, the Kalgoorlie Hub, and there's huge government support both from Australia and Japan for the critical minerals sector. So we will continue to consider all options to make sure this project's fully funded, but already aligning ourselves with the consortium. You know, we've significantly de-risked that project development requirement in terms of accessing the best possible debt terms in the world.
So they've put in circa $100 million. You've got a market cap of circa $100 million. That 100 million buys them 35% of one project within the hub. Do you think investors have missed something here? Because when I look at it, I look at the numbers and think, okay, well, I've now, for that 35%, I now have a value on what the rest of the project's worth before I even look at the rest of the assets.
It's a really good point, David, and I think this entire Australian nickel sector is being overlooked at the moment, and there's this negative sentiment because a number of projects have been placed into care and maintenance, but every mineral deposit's different, and there are unique attributes about Goongarrie that mean we have very low operating costs and will be cost competitive with all of our peers in Indonesia. And I think that sentiment has to change, but we've done what we said we would, aligning ourselves with the best possible partners in the world, and we'll continue to advance the project with the DFS and ultimately project development and operations. So I think the gap and the realisation of the value being unlocked by the Ardea team, that just simply has to come.
Do you think you'll attract more partners to this project as it becomes clear what the scale of the project is, the low-cost nature of the project, and how you as a team can develop it?
We've already had some approaches from other large companies wanting to join the consortium. Now, there's been a huge acknowledgement of their independent technical and commercial due diligence, and other potential investors are starting to think, oh gee, what have we missed here? You know, we need to have a closer look at this project. So there is a great deal of interest from other potential partners, both to try and be part of the Goongarrie Hub, not that we're looking for other partners there, but also a great deal of interest in Ardea's other nickel resources outside of Goongarrie.
Clearly developing what has the potential to be a world-class nickel project in a known nickel jurisdiction, attracting some of the best partners you could find and the state could find. Exciting times ahead for Ardea and its shareholders. Andrew, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, David.